If you're an average player, you want to be left alone, right? Because you want to be able to slide by. If you're a good player, you want to be coached. If you're a great player, you want the coach to tell you the truth every day. Did I hustle on that play? Did I make the right read? Did I play the guy with the right leverage? You want to know every play. Because you know why? They want to be perfect. Everybody here makes a choice to do one of those three things.
Welcome to the GOAT Consulting Podcast, a podcast dedicated to people striving to be a GOAT, the greatest of all time, serving it up in a way that you can get it in all stages of life.
Hey, I'm Colby Jubinville, and welcome to another episode of the GOAT Consulting Podcast right here in VC Productions in studio in Nashville, Tennessee. We got a great show for you today. We're excited about it. We want to say thank you to Russell Stroud and RWS Services. They do a great job for us, and we appreciate them supporting us.
Yes.
That is not Tyler to the right. That is Jim Cripps, and we're excited about you being here today. He is a sales coach, speaker, vice president, COO, team builder, biohacker, world record holder. It all started on a dare and so much more. We're excited about you being here with us today. And to the left, wearing a shirt that says Defy Logic, which certainly we're going to talk about that today. That is for you. They call him the Hammer. Jim Cripps. We're excited you to be here today. John all the way in from Brentwood. Thank you for being here today.
It's so good. And Jim, what a treat to have you. I think this connection got made sometime back in maybe November or somewhere around there from our mutual friend Randy Huth, former GOAT, and in the bosom of the GOAT family, as well as you now. So both you guys, we should have had Randy come help us co-host this episode.
That would have been, yes.
He's a radio host. I mean,
yeah.
Well, shout out to
Blow
Randy.
out the candles.
He's probably whipping some
Smell
kids
the roses.
into practice, getting them ready for the
and
series.
We're in good company. Jim has not just chosen to be on our show. He has been on Good Morning America, Jimmy Kimmel. He's been all the way over in Japan on a Japanese television show called Unbelievable.
Oh,
so
because that's his thing.
We're right up there at the top. So we appreciate you being here today.
Absolutely.
Well, Defy Logic, I think our audience that knows you already, and this will become more and more true for them and the world as we get through this conversation. So thanks for joining us. So good to have you.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to it.
You most recently, in fact, I think you just got this maybe yesterday, we're on the cover of Bowler's Journal, February 2023. And I love the title, by the way. I wish I would have thought of it. A backhanded compliment. It's beautiful.
Yeah, they did a great job. And it's one of those things that you have as a goal, but you almost don't even want to tell people.
Yeah.
Because it's such...
Why is that? Like, what keeps you from wanting to tell people?
Well, that one, and they got flack over it. I'm controversial in that I don't do things the way...
You're the most attractive bowler that's ever been.
Well,
is that the controversy?
You bowl backwards, and I can't even bowl forwards.
Neither can I. In fact,
well done.
Well, the last time I bowled forward, period, was July 25th, 2005. And it was when I was on the Jimmy Kimmel show. They wanted to randomly select me out of the audience. And so they said, you can't do what you do. And they hired some actors to come in and be my friends. And I had to bowl forward. And I shot 112 during that segment. They randomly select me, and I shoot 210 live on television. So just, it's one of those crazy things.
Did you shoot backwards that day too?
Yeah, so 210 live backwards.
Oh,
so okay. They had his Aunt Chippy, and she's a bowler.
Yes.
And so they pubbed it up real big for her, and that we were playing for Celine Dion tickets.
Oh,
Damn,
wow.
That's what you said you wanted to go to on the way up here. You texted me.
I can't even speak about it. I want to go see Celine.
Can you get us to Celine? Still?
Now she's done. She's retiring.
Right. Did those actors still end up being your friends, or was it just for that one night?
No, it was just that. It was that one thing, and
I want to hire some actors to be my friends. That's cool.
Well, I didn't even realize that. They come over with paperwork, and they're like, you have to sign up to be part of SAG.
This is
so
awesome.
We are 3 minutes in. We have not even shared why Jim's here, other than some of the cool accolades. I mean,
business and sales coach, speaker, VP, COO, team builder, biohacker, and world record holder.
And we need to add to that list of accolades, friend of Randy Huth.
Absolutely, Huth in the booth.
Absolutely. So Randy sent me this text, I don't know, a couple months ago, and he said, hey, you got to meet Jim. He just bowled backwards a 300.
Incredible.
A perfect 300. And that was kind of what sparked the conversation. There's so much more good in the Jim Cripps onion that we will unlayer as we go through this conversation. But one of the things that you said a few minutes ago, you said, I love bowling and I love leading people more. And
Absolutely.
so we're going to talk more about that as we dive in. But let's start off with one of the things we like to ask our guests is tell us your favorite childhood memory.
I had a great childhood. I mean, my dad was my best friend, still is today. Not that you don't go through that, early 20s moment where you're not real sure where you fit in.
Yes.
You kind of become an idiot for a little bit. But he's my biggest supporter, absolutely. Great parents.
Where'd you grow up?
Ashland City, Tennessee.
Okay.
So just right around the corner.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, I'm a big fan of kind of how people, hit adversity and recover. I think if you hit adversity early, then it makes you stronger. You become more agile when it comes to pivoting and kind of moving towards your goals. And first grade was a train wreck. I had a mentally abusive teacher that just destroyed everything.
Oh, wow.
But my parents were there, and they really dove in and tried to figure out how do we build confidence again. And my dad bought me a motorcycle, and that was my thing. I could be good at that. And then fast forward a little bit, my third grade teacher realized how far I was behind because of that, and she brought me back up. This woman, Miss Frances Hall, she was a saint. She didn't retire from teaching until she was 92.
Oh, wow.
She only retired then because she said she did not want to train tests. She was like, we teach to test now. Fast forward to high school, and my favorite teacher on this planet, which it's hard to decide between the two, is Kate McGlasson, who's the dean of Innsworth. She gave me my first chance to lead, and I loved it. And I think a combination of those things is really what
was that?
So she was pregnant at the time with her second child, and she taught geometry.
I thought you were going to say she allowed me to be the father.
Oh, well.
Not sure why I would.
You see that shirt? You see that shirt right there?
It defies logic.
Well, he's living it out. I mean,
She allowed me.
get back on track.
Well,
we
no,
go.
but, I
Back
had
in the lane.
Yeah, stay in it.
out of the gutter, right?
Yeah.
So she had just a tough day. It was a tough pregnancy, and I had 100 average in her class the year before, and I was her student aide. And she was having a tough day, and I said, here, I'll teach. And that right then, I loved it. Being able to communicate in a way that people could understand something that they didn't previously understand.
I love it.
Absolutely clicked with me. And then, that's kind of where I see, a couple key moments that really kind of pushed me to where I'm at today.
I love it. I have a story that's similar, but I don't know if the audience is ready for it. My coach got kicked out of a basketball game in 8th grade, and he said to the woman that was the referee, he said, in case you didn't know it, this is a basketball game, and you have a whistle in your mouth. This is not a Weight Watchers camp, and you're supposed to use that whistle. And she turned around and teed him up and kicked him out. He turned to me, and he said,
defining moment for you.
He said, Colby, you coach him from here.
I
And I
love
did,
it.
and we won the game.
I love it.
I thought that was mean to say that to that woman, but
Yeah, maybe.
I was in 8th grade.
It carved the way for you.
Yeah.
It carved the path.
I think it just tied everything together. So
Well,
thank you for jarring that memory loose for me. I mean, that was a defining moment
What
for me.
Colby missed there, Jim, is that he typically will then ask a question where
It pushes it back to him.
Yeah, where many of our defining moments happen before 35.
Yes, thank you. I'm defying logic myself.
welcome.
Yes,
You're welcome.
80% of life defining moments happen before age 35. So you have this moment here. Then you wake up and you say, I want to. This feels good to me. I want to lead. And then somewhere along the way, you say, I don't want to bowl forwards. I want to bowl backwards. I mean, where is there a defining moment that you say, I want to try this?
There was, and probably prior to that, and
Was that right?
Yeah, I think you did good.
Okay.
Kind of teeing that up. So my first job, I'm 2 or 3 days in, and I noticed that this guy takes a 2.5-hour lunch break. And
I can't wait to hear where this goes.
oh yeah, and I said something about it, just in humor. And
Did you get enough lunch in?
right, well the manager overheard me say it, and I just asked a question. There wasn't, no entitlement or anything you derive from that. And he goes, well, Jim, he's the top salesperson, so they'd fire me before they fired him.
Oh.
And I think it was one of those things where you thought you were saying it in your head, but you said it out loud. And I said,
Story of my life.
well, I want to be that guy. And he goes, Jim, no offense, but I didn't hire you to be that guy.
Wow.
And I didn't know what he meant, but he explained it. He said, Jim, I hired you because you're the kind of guy that's going to show up every day. You're going to do inventory when I tell you to do inventory. You're going to make sure you take care of customers. He goes, but I didn't hire you under any false pretenses that you're going to be the top sales guy. And that lit a fire. And
How old?
I was 18.
18.
So I graduated high school early. And so this was April 29th of 1996.
Wow.
End of the day.
Damn.
And this top sales guy, I'm looking at what he's doing, and I was like, I can do that. So I took it on as a mission. I'm gonna figure out what he's doing, and I found a couple chinks in his armor that made me believe he's human just like I am, and I can do this. And sure enough, on month 5, I was the top salesperson in my store.
Love it.
Month 6, I was top salesperson in the region, and that's really where I just decided I can do anything I want to do. Fast forward 2001, so the Pinnacle Family Entertainment Center, where I met Randy Huth. Well, I'd say that me and Randy go way back further than that.
Oh, wow.
But Randy was the bar manager at the Pinnacle. So it's brand new. It's the hot spot. Go out with some friends, and I had not bowled but maybe a few times in my entire life. So we go out, and some of my friends are serious bowlers, and they start giving me a hard time because I'm terrible. I mean, just absolutely as bad as you can imagine. That's me. And we're 20-something years old, few too many non-water beverages.
Yeah.
And some of my customers happen to be there at the same time. I ran a store there in Clarksville. And they're giving me a hard time now, too. So as a joke, I threw a ball behind me. The very first ball was a strike. Well, when I turn around, instantly, all 4 of the guys with me are noticeably aggravated. What? And so they're like, you couldn't do that. That you got lucky, funny, whatever. Get serious again. Like, I just bowled the best ball I've thrown all night. So they bet me any ball in the pro shop that I couldn't shoot 150 that way. Fast forward 6 weeks later, I shoot 163. By that time, I'm better backward than I am forward. So no reason to turn around.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. And so that's how this whole thing started. It started off of a testosterone-infused bet with some, 21, 22-year-olds. And
So you just got lucky on that one throw.
yeah, absolutely. Just complete luck.
Okay.
So fast forward, and now that's what I'm known for. It's really kind of two pieces, the Jim Cripps, because I have a hard time with that. And I think some people struggle with it, some people don't. But I have a hard time with the line between who you are and what you do. And so mine is even worse because it's really which one am I? And it really kind of depends on the crowd. To bowlers, I'm this guy that bowls backwards. I am the backwards bowler.
And that holds some negativity in the bowling world, too, which I think we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Backhanded compliment.
Did you give them the title, or
I did not.
No.
They did a fantastic job.
did they
of that.
ask you for your input?
They did not.
Huh.
And the guy that actually wrote the article, not a bowler at all. Peter Warren, just a fantastic guy.
Yeah.
And
And it's pretty
notice the subtitle. Unique. What?
style.
Unique style, unique perspective,
It's
unique
true.
education, unique experience. We talk about 3 things that make up GOATs. They have unique perspective, unique education, unique experience, and now we're going to add unique
style. I like
style.
that. And you got 8 pages, which is a bit unheard of in the bowling journal. Also,
it's so over the top. It's one of those things. They took a huge chance. In fact, I did not even ask, did I get the cover? I didn't know I was in the running until
Did you want to ask?
I wanted to ask,
But you didn't.
I didn't.
what
because
kept you from
I don't
asking?
think I could. I wouldn't just go right out. I'd be like, hey, so what are you thinking about on that story?
The audience is like, yes, Colby, we know.
Yeah.
We know. We get it.
Oh, but John wouldn't be. Yeah, John would be like you and just wait till the end. What is it inside of you that
good
said
question.
you aren't going to ask? That's pretty powerful.
Well, so if we back up just a little bit, so a lot of this stirred back up. I had a lot of stuff going on in bowling, And then it kind of shifted, and I went neck deep into a business, grew that business by over $90 million a year in annual revenue. And then it shifted again and went back a little heavier into bowling. And so back in November, I shoot this 300 game, and it was perfectly imperfect. There were so many things.
Oh, don't go there yet. We're gonna get there.
Okay.
That's we got to tease the audience a little bit. I like that.
I got
like
you.
the
But when we get to this article,
perfectly
though,
imperfect.
It's controversial for me to be in it. It's way outside the lines of how far I thought they would go for me to be in the cover. And so they reached out, said they wanted to do an article. I did a couple Zoom meetings for content, and then they wanted a list of names that they could reach out to, and I could send them a list of names, and they were like, we need more names. I sent them a list of names. They said, we need more names. I sent them a list of names, and they said, we need more names.
To get the story right.
Yeah, and so I sent them like 40 people, and we're talking about people that I've bowled with forever, the guy that I bowled against in the tournament, all the way to Tom Clark, that is the PBA commissioner. And
Was this a backwards bowling tournament? Or
no.
Okay.
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing. Yeah, that's right.
And so they reached out for all these things, and then on my last conversation with them, Peter said, Jim, we've got such amazing content that we're struggling with where to cut.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I'm struggling with what conversations to cut out. He goes, I think you're going to be amazed. And I was talking to Ron Hicklin. So Ron Hicklin runs Creating the Difference. It is a bowling company. So they supply content, information. Their whole deal is how to educate and bring community and then supply great products. And so I was talking to him, and he's been in bowling for a long time. In fact, when he was in high school, he wanted to be a ball designer. He was a ball designer. Successful, was at Ebonite, designing cutting-edge bowling balls, now runs his own company. And I'm talking to him, and he said, Jim, did you say they're hiring a photographer? And I said, yeah, they're hiring a photographer. He goes, Jim, they don't just hire photographers. He goes, if they're hiring a photographer, you're one of the top 2 or 3 stories. You're in the running for the cover. And you could have knocked me down with a feather.
Yeah.
And he goes, Jim, I've been on the cover of magazines. He goes, I'm telling you, they don't. Most of the pictures come from just people taking it with a phone. If they're spending money on a photographer, you're in the top 2 or 3. And so I had a great friend from high school that used to do all the sports graphics for Vanderbilt. Now he does it for Ole Miss, Sean Sin. And I called him and I said, man, I'm looking for a photographer. By chance, could you do this? And he, yeah, absolutely. What do you need? And so he cleared his schedule and was willing to go to multiple bowling centers with me to get the right photos. So a lot of them are taken from the Pinnacle in Clarksville, my home center. And then some of these, especially the styled ones, are from East Side Bowl. I don't know if you guys.
Oh, yeah.
That fantastic. Chark and his team, they are just wonderful. Went in there, told them what I was trying to do, and they literally did anything and everything they could do to help me.
That's very cool, Jim. One of the ways that we like to honor our guests is we like to hear their own definition of a GOAT. Can you share that with us, and then maybe after that, give us who that GOAT is for you?
That's a hard one. So what a GOAT is to me is somebody that takes whatever their skill level is, whether it's they do have raw talent, whether they don't have raw talent, and then they work so hard. They put so much effort into getting better and better till they're just perfect. They're so good that they make it look easy. And the reason I think that is important is because that's what inspires people. When you see somebody struggling through something, a lot of times that doesn't inspire. But when you see someone do something that you think should be impossible, but not only do they do it, but they make it look easy, then it opens your mind as to what could be possible for you. And to me, that's what a GOAT is. And so, if I'm going to go sports or something like that, obvious, how do you beat Michael Jordan? I mean, he's it. But I mean, there's just so many. So I'm going to give just a couple, and then I'll let you guys dive into whichever one. So my great teacher, Kate McGlasson, Francis Halls, I will say this. I believe that not all educators are leaders, but all leaders are educators.
Yes.
And sometimes people don't really understand that.
If you can do and teach, you get paid for your value, not your time.
Absolutely. And they're the ones that change people's lives.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic. So big shout out to them. And then I think capitalism as a concept is a goat. I mean, how do you beat
That's
that?
the first one we've ever had that. And he's right.
Well done.
Bowling is a sport. Of course, that's
Little
my
Jim
go-to.
Rohn coming out there. A little capitalism over communism.
Right. Well, and I say bowling because bowling is something, whether you're, 5 years old or 95 years old, you can take your whole family and you can go enjoy some time together.
Has the sport embraced you?
The sport has.
Yeah.
That there's still haters out there, but I look at haters like,
Well, you have to have them.
you got to have those badges of honor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's how you adapt to those. How early on how you get over those, and then later, it's almost like you're collecting them. You're doing something big when you got haters.
Jim Cripps. He collects haters.
I do.
One of the things that Jim said,
Hater collector. Jim Cripps. I love it.
you talked about this. I think maybe this was on our prep call.
Yeah.
But you talked about, speaking of the haters, which made me think of this, but not all of them were. But you had 700,000 people that commented on the backwards 300 video, and you responded to every single one of them.
So it was 700,000 views in the first 2.5, 3 weeks, and then I think it was over 2,000 comments. And I responded to I even went to where people had shared it and tried to find their comments. And anywhere, we're talking about other countries. I used Google Translate so that I could try to get it into their language.
Wow.
All of those things, because I felt like if people took the time to watch that video.
I've seen it a few times. It's fantastic. Check it. It's on YouTube. But that would be the place, right? To go
Absolutely.
check it out. Yeah.
I've got a YouTube channel. It's The Backwards Bowler.
Yeah.
And so people watched it there. But, one of the guys at the pro shop, he recorded just the last, I think it was 2 balls. And I love that video. It's not on my channel, but I love it so much because since he was sitting behind, he actually got the video of me coming up between the 11th and 12th ball and giving my son a fist bump.
Yeah.
Are you obsessed with bowling? Are you obsessed with? It seems like everything that I've learned about you, you become obsessed about something and you don't stop until you get to where you want to go. Is that fair?
That's a fair assessment. I don't believe in quitting.
Yeah, but there's a difference between quitting and being obsessed with something.
Well, if that's truly a goal, and it's still a goal, because goals change as we get older, as things evolve. But if that's where you're headed, then there's no reason to let anything get in your way.
Okay.
And whether we're talking about business, whether we're talking, it could be anything. It could be your spiritual journey. It's whatever you're passionate about.
It reminds me of Savannah Bananas.
Oh yeah,
Jesse Cole,
where he said you become so obsessed about something that you fall in love with a problem that you become obsessed about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he said this is not a bad thing.
Right.
That's what he said innovation is.
Innovation
Innovation is about falling in love with a problem.
That you become obsessed with. And he said that think about that. Remember, and you had this, and John obviously has it, but you got that one T-shirt in high school, and you washed it every day. And mine was the Rolling Stones T-shirt, right?
Yep.
I washed. My dad sent it to me. I wore it every day. Everybody would talk about how cool it was. It was the only one in the school. But that's what I'm thinking about when I hear his approach to this.
That's really good. Maybe I'm going to give the teaser to follow up on what you said earlier before we land this part of the conversation here. But maybe in part 2 we will talk about. You said you don't believe in quitting. I feel like Tom Brady quit too late. I feel like he did. So maybe we can talk about that. See, maybe there's something in that to chat on. Here's the question that we spoke about early on when we got to know each other, and that I struggle with. And here's where we'll start as we pick up in the next part of the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't believe in perfection. I think part of the reason we do this episode and we are very intentional and clear about a GOAT is somebody that's striving to be a GOAT in their own life, business, and relationships. I think if perfection is a part of the conversation, shame is typically riding shotgun, right? So one of the first things I said to you was, that's completely untrue in bowling because you can actually be perfect in bowling. There may not be another sport that you can be perfect in, but you can be perfect in bowling, and you did that. And now you're in the Guinness Book of World Records. And so that's where we'll pick up as we start the back half of this conversation.
You talk about, he says unpack the onion. I think we're unpeeling the bowling ball, not unpeeling the onion, but peeling back.
That is more difficult, but we're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
There are layers to a bowling ball.
A little reverse psychology with our good friend Jim Cripps. We'll be back here in just a minute for Jim, not Tyler, and John Byers, and Mikey Davey at the board over there. I'm Colby Jubenville, and this is the Go Consulting Podcast.